Hey guys, it's Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Today we're in a new location and I'm doing a different video than what I have typically done in the past. But yes, started in a new location. I am pretty happy with this actually. I'm in my living room, but I have a nice little table and my chair. But today I wanted to talk about overconsumption and the Diderot effect. I first heard of the Diderot effect in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm listening to the audiobook right now and it's narrated by the author himself, James. And I heard about the Diderot effect and it kind of changed the way I thought about things and put a lot of things into perspective. So I'm actually going to read kind of the story of it right from his website. It's not a very long story, so just bear with me for a minute, but the famous French philosopher Denis Diderot lived nearly his entire life in poverty, but that all changed in 1765. When Diderot was 52 years old and his daughter was about to be married, he could not afford to provide a dowry. Despite his lack of wealth, Diderot's name was well known because he was the co-founder and writer of the Encyclopedia, one of the most comprehensive encyclopedias of the time. Encyclopedia being the French one, I'm assuming. When Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia, heard of Diderot's financial trouble, she offered to buy his library from him for £1,000, which is approximately 50,000 US dollars in 2015. Suddenly, Diderot had money to spare. Shortly after his lucky sale, Diderot acquired a new scarlet robe. That's when everything went wrong. Diderot's scarlet robe was beautiful, so beautiful in fact that he immediately noticed how out of place it seemed when surrounded by the rest of his common possessions. In his words, there was no more coordination, no more unity, no more beauty between his robe and the rest of his items. The philosopher soon felt the urge to buy some new things to match the beauty of his robe. He replaced his old rug with a new one from Damascus. He decorated his home with beautiful sculptures and a better kitchen table. He bought a new mirror to place above the mantel, and his straw chair was relegated to the antechamber by a leather chair. These reactive purchases have become known as the Diderot effect. The Diderot effect states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption which leads you to acquire more new things. As a result, we end up buying things that our previous selves never needed to feel happy or fulfilled. So that last kind of phrase there summarizes the Diderot effect. It is the spiral of buying one new thing, and that leads to the consumption or overconsumption of multiple new things that you never needed or wanted before buying that one new trigger item. So overconsumption is literally, as it sounds, just consuming and taking on a lot more than necessary, than we want, or that is even feasible for our lifestyle. And I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of facts briefly about overconsumption and the consuming cycle. So happiness actually peaks at an income level of $10,000 per year. This, I got a stat from an American website, so I'm not sure how outdated it might be and of what year, and that's also in American dollars, so there's a lot of factors to that, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Especially, it might not be as accurate now as the price of life increases and inflation and all of that, so take that as you will, but it just kind of shows that your happiness does kind of fluctuate with income, but there is a much lower income level that the happiness peaks at than you might think. As a society, when we overconsume, we tend to value things less because we are of the mindset that, oh, it can just be replaced quite easily. So then we also lose the skill of repairing and fixing and mending things, such as sewing our clothes if we get a hole in it, instead of just throwing it out. Learn how to patch it up, how to re-sew it. If something is broken, find other connections of other people who might know how to fix or repair, instead of the default going to be throwing it out and buying new. The thought of overconsumption also kind of relates back to attracting a mate or a partner, and our animalistic brain thinking that the more we have, the more we attract. It also provides a social status. It kind of says, we think it says more about who we are than it actually does. So buying all of these things like the yachts, the cars, the jewelry, the fashion, the technology, it allows you to perceive yourself and for others to perceive you as being a suitable mate. The overconsumption also intensifies as we climb the social ladder. So as we gain more social status and start to feel more comfortable in our role and how we present ourselves, we are more likely to consume more, to gather more material possessions than we had in the past, to kind of keep up with the Joneses per se, and to keep on that momentum going. There are a few contributing factors to overconsumption, and I'm going to kind of go through those now. So firstly is marketing. Marketers are very smart. They know how to get your attention. They know who their target audience is. They know how to make something look enticing. They identify an unfulfilled need or desire. There's also a lot of blame put on the products, the looks, and the packaging of it, but the marketing also contributes to the status that that product will deliver to you and that emotional need that it will meet. There's also another cause is social and cultural factors. So if you're surrounded by family or peers that overconsume and overpurchase, overspend, you are more likely to fall in that as well, just because that is what the normal is in your environment. With the rise of credit cards and loans being given out, it is much easier to just swipe, tap, or buy online and not really have to think about it because you're just putting it on a credit card. So it's just mindless spending. So the economics really make it easy to overspend and overconsume. When you feel some like unwanted or uncomfortable emotions, or just even like as a coping mechanism, it's easy to overconsume and to bring on more and to numb out with the act of consuming whatever your guilty pleasure might be. And simply, it might just be like a lack of awareness or just the way that your life is laid out, and that's just what you've always done. So you always continue to do it, and you can't change something that you don't know. So just becoming aware of some of these habits and tendencies can really benefit you in terms of overconsumption. The overconsumption is a very easy loop to get stuck in, and it's a very effective way to deal with life and deal with the unwanted things. Effective being a very like broad general term. It's not maybe the wisest way to do things, but it meets a need, it meets a desire, so it does bring some momentary relief, but it works because we're no longer in like a constant fight or flight status, I guess, in everyday life. Like, we're not hunter or gatherers. We don't need to go looking for our next meal. We don't have to create our own shelter. So we have other things that we need to like funnel these feelings and desires into. And so that is when the overconsumption happens. It also provides instant gratification. We all know that little ding you get when you buy something, or the little email alert that you get once your order's been put through, or the satisfaction of over-consuming too much food and feeling full. It's just the instant gratification that we get, and it keeps reassuring and solidifying that what we're doing is working because of the dopamine hit we get in our brain. It's also easy to act on impulse. Everything is just like one click of a link. Even on Amazon, you have the buy now feature where you just slide over and it's automatically taken from your credit card. We have easy access to high caloric foods that are very satiating but also create a craving for them more and more. And it's just so easy to overconsume. We have phones, that social media we can scroll and scroll and scroll endlessly on. Also, it creates a parasocial connection, because say you see one of your favorite people wearing a shirt. When you buy that same shirt, you kind of mentally think that, oh, now we're connected. We have some sort of like similarity between us, so we have this deeper emotional connection. Or you see one of your favorite influencers advertising a product, like such as Bloom Greens, or one of your favorite influencers comes out with their own product. When you buy that, you get that feeling of socialization, with connection, community, and it makes you feel good. So you want to keep doing it. Relating to that, it also helps you keep up a social presence. You, again, climbing that social ladder, you feel seen. Everyone has a Stanley Cup, so if you don't have one, you're not as cool. You're not up to that standard. So buying one all of a sudden gives you like that stamp of approval. Like, yep, you're good enough. You're accepted by the girlies now. Like those, just anything like that. It's also like instantaneous. You have the ability to see things, then buy it. You don't have to go to a store anymore. You don't have to physically go somewhere. You can buy anything and everything online in the matter of a few clicks of a button. I wanted to go through a few of the most common and typical, I think, areas where people can overconsume in their life. That being media, social media, TV shows, movies, things like that. Food, clothing and fashion, books, holiday decor, also like just home decor and home goods and things like that. Travel mugs, the Stanleys, the Yetis, the Starbucks cups, things like that. Bedding and like pillowcases and like blankets, pillows, all of that. Items for your pets, alcohol, technology, beauty and hygiene products, and lastly, just like little hobbies, things that you're really interested in, but you kind of take it to like the extreme. So like for me, candles. I really love candles. I can only really burn 1, maybe 2 candles at a time, but I have stacks and stacks that I haven't even opened yet. I think there are 3 main areas that suffer in your life when you overconsume, and the first being your finances and your wallet. It is hard to, if you're keeping up with every trend now, especially because things cycle so quickly, being trendy and not, if you're trying to keep up with every trend or every like kind of fleeting thought you have, you're going to be spending so much money trying to maintain this level of purchasing and like self-soothing, I guess you could say. Your mental health also suffers because you're constantly in like a scarcity mindset, not feeling good enough, trying to prove yourself to be worthy to people that quite frankly don't even matter. And you're always going to be chasing that high, chasing for more, striving for more, and wanting all of it and just never reaching like a satisfactory level. And lastly, the environment, that takes a huge hit because we are constantly buying and putting things out. So we consume, it serves its very momentary purpose, and then typically it'll go sit in a landfill, or it could go sit in a thrift store that more than likely won't be purchased, but it's just creating a lot of excess in our world. And our planet is only so big, so where does the excess stuff go that can't be broken down, that can't be recycled? It goes and sits in a landfill. And finally, I have 5 things to help minimize your overconsumption. These I don't think are like very standard, stereotypical. I tried to be a little bit more creative with my ways to reduce your overconsumption. And firstly, that is becoming creative with your possessions. Find alternate uses for things that you don't use anymore. Find ways to repair, fix, or like transform things that might be broken, worn out, and just be creative, like upcycling. Number 2 is borrow or trade with other people, like your neighbors, friends, family members. Instead of buying buying a new item that you might only use 2 or 3 times, ask if you can borrow or trade with someone, exchange something. Again, be creative with your resources. Number 3, this is more stereotypical, but find reusable options. Water bottles, that might be one of the easiest things that you can reuse. Try using like a dishcloth or a hand towel instead of always grabbing for paper towels, things like that. Number 4, to minimize your marketing, you can unsubscribe from like emails, like promotional emails, getting flyers through the mail, if people still get that. We still do. And just unfollowing like social media accounts that feel like they're always promoting something, making you feel like you need to buy the latest thing to feel good, to be your best version of yourself. Just cut it out. You don't need to see it. It obviously is not going to solve all your problems, so I would say just don't even see it, avoid it altogether. And number 5, find hobbies that fulfill you, ideally that you don't need like to buy a lot of right away, and like utilize your free resources in your public that are offered. So like going to your library, finding like art classes or stuff. I don't know. Just be creative again. I think that is a takeaway from this. Just be creative in your things, but find hobbies that fulfill you and that you enjoy doing and make you feel good enough and fill up your cup enough where you don't need that external gratification or external validation of who you are. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun researching this topic and just learning new things. I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!